Brain fog. You sit down to work and nothing happens. You find yourself staring blankly into space for minutes and forget what you were supposed to be doing. You try to talk to someone but find you're stumbling over words or sometimes just stopping mid-sentence. Tears are welling up and you're feeling overwhelmed. There are hours of work to do. There are hours more until you can sleep. You just need something to help survive the day until then. This video is not about curing brain fog. I've had to deal with brain fog on and off since catching long COVID in 2023. Rather, this video is my personal brain fog emergency kit. It's what I reach for so I can survive a day until I can properly rest or sleep. First up, two short-term fixes that work superbly together: green tea and Rhodiola Rosea. I reach for green tea first of all. It's the number one thing that I've found helps my brain fog. Much as I like caffeine and the taste of coffee, green tea is significantly better for my brain and it doesn't make me jittery. Somehow enabled my thoughts to start flowing. It's really good when having to work with screens. It brings a sense of calmness and an ability to think things through and massively reduces my feeling of overwhelm. 2 or even 3 cups of green tea get me the best benefits. I'll generally chain them together when I feel brain foggy and I'll start feeling the benefits really quickly too. In my experience, you get what you pay for. Loose leaf sencha or genmai cha are so much better than tea bags for me. If you're new to green tea, just remember it's not like black tea. The water should be off the boil and you steep it for a very short time, less than 2 minutes. If you go too long, green tea gets very bitter and unpleasant very quickly. If I need to get something done to a deadline on a brain fog day and feeling a bit stressed, I also reach for Rhodiola. Rhodiola is a herb that grows in Scandinavia. You can buy it as a tincture or as capsules, which is how I prefer it. It's an adaptogen, which means it helps reduce the stress response. It stimulates the brain and increases the levels of neurotransmitters including dopamine, serotonin and norepinephrine. Initially when I started with it, it didn't seem to do too much, but then I tried slowly increasing the number of tablets that I took, and I got to a level where, well, results really were happening. I noticed that I was feeling much less overwhelmed and better able to regulate my emotions, and that's particularly useful when I would have an evening of looking after my young kid after a long day working. So the best effect I've found is when I combine both green tea and Rhodiola, usually in the early afternoon. And I can only describe the effect as almost magical. My brain and head sort of vibrates or hums really pleasantly. It suddenly feels like there's a bridge across the abyss and I can actually get things done. I wish I could explain it better to you. I really hope if you try these that it happens to you, because honestly it is such a relief. I do need to be clear, this is not a cure. It doesn't last all day. It just gives me some respite for a couple of hours, but that's usually enough to survive through to the point where I can get to sleep and hopefully recover a bit more for the next day. I typically work on a computer, but I find that screens are intense. If I can change to physical tasks, running errands or such like, then that definitely makes a brain fog day much more survivable. If I can't, and I have thinking tasks that still need doing, then I found switching to pen and paper helps enormously. Going back to physically writing things down has helped in numerous ways. It's a physical act which engages different parts of the brain. It honestly feels like it's using more of my brain, which makes it relatively refreshing. It's less stimulating and actually quite calming. Basically, I'm not using a screen. Writing things down, even simple things, means I don't have to struggle to remember, whether that's tasks to do or dates or meetings. The free-form nature of pen and paper makes it easier to work through problems with both text and diagrams. I can draw and conceptualize as my brain sees fit rather than conforming to the structure of a word processor. I can later take those notes and tap them into a computer at a later date. And while that does take time, it doesn't require much conscious thinking, so it's much less likely to be stressful and trigger further brain fog. It also allows me to check my original thinking. Once it's set on, I can usually tell if brain fog is going to trouble me for the rest of the week too. It's likely due to an increase of stress, be that an infection or work overload or an emotional demands of being a parent. It's that stress that the Rhodiola is working on. so I also start taking a few other things to help me survive the week too. Firstly, magnesium. It helps to reduce the stress hormone cortisol and improve resilience to stress. I add a small amount of Nagari, which is magnesium chloride, to my drinks throughout the day. I've definitely noticed an increased feeling of what I can only describe as smoothness, mostly in my brain but a little bit in my body too, when I've taken Nagari for several days. While I've previously tried taking Nagari for a couple of months in a row, I found that noticeable benefits tend to tail off after a week. A similar thing happens when supplementing with B vitamins. These vitamins are used for creating neurotransmitters that help focus and mental clarity. In a balanced diet, you should be getting these anyway, but in a stressful brain fog situation, maybe your body has simply used them up faster than replenishing them. Hence, supplementation can help. And yet, I've noticed a slight reduction in the severity of blank thoughts when I take B vitamins, but similar to magnesium, I don't find much benefit in supplementing longer than a week. Brain fog is often linked to inflammation, particularly chronic inflammation. During bad brain fog periods, I try to eat more nuts and olive oil based meals like salads. Both walnuts and olive oil have strong anti-inflammatory effects. It is difficult though. When I'm stressy and brain foggy, what I really want and crave is sugary goods. But I found that if I do that, while there's a pleasant initial hit, I do quickly become sluggish and brain foggy again. I found a compromise with combining raisins with nuts when I snack. That way my lizard brain gets its sugar, but it's also getting the real anti-inflammatory benefits from the nuts. As my COVID really became long and turned into chronic fatigue syndrome, there are 3 things that helped slowly but significantly improve my physical and mental fatigue over the long term. Creatine is one of them. You have to start slow with this, 5 grams a day for a month. Though for me, benefits only started happening after about 6 weeks. But once I was saturated with creatine, I found that it helped my physical fatigue tremendously. I could actually move and walk much more like my previous self. And then I heard about the benefits for the mental side too. The mental benefits only happen if you're saturated in creatine, as it's difficult for it to cross the blood-brain barrier. Some recent research into creatine's effect on the brain suggests 4 to 5 times higher amounts. I've tried that recently during my brain fog weeks and it does seem to help me. The main issue it's helped me with is being able to work on screens and a computer for longer. It doesn't seem to help me when I'm in the deep part of an infection, however. But when I'm coming out of it, it does seem to really help accelerate recovery. I don't do the higher doses all the time, only during brain fog episodes. I'm waiting for a bit more information about long-term side effects of high dosages for a start, but for now I'm happy to experiment on myself with short-term high doses. Vitamin D. I take this daily as a matter of course throughout the winter. However, I'll be honest here, I've never been able to sense an immediate improvement in the same way as, say, creatine or rhodiola. I think it just takes too long from taking it to the body being able to use it to really notice. Even when a doctor has seen my low levels and prescribed a couple of big hits of, say, 50,000 IU of vitamin D, I couldn't say for sure any improvement in my mind or body was due to it. However, the science is pretty clear about supplementing with vitamin D to reduce illnesses over the long term. Fewer days ill means less inflammation, thus reducing the chance that today will be a brain fog day. And I don't want to leave it to chance. So there you have it, my survival kit for brain fog. Have you tried any of these and found that they helped you? Is there anything that you've tried that's not in my list? Let everyone know in the comments and let's see if we can help each other. If you're battling brain fogs, supplements are only part of the story. I found huge benefit over the long term from working on reducing my inflammation levels, and you can view my videos of building an anti-inflammatory lifestyle here.